Hello and welcome to Wicklow Good News with me, Jillian Godsil. Today I'm joined by two gentlemen who are both very much engaged in outdoor pursuits and organic living. So I'm joined by Ken Flood and by Ed Hambidge. You're welcome, gentlemen.
Thanks, Jillian.
So I was introduced to you first of all, Ken, to talk about your Greater Heights guided tours. And then as we were chatting beforehand, you said, could Ed come along too as well? Because you do some of your walking and your hiking up near Ed's home farm, which is a veritable paradise filled with hemp and all sorts of organic, nice stuff. So we'll start with you, Ken. Your day job is you work in construction.
Yeah, I work at construction. I do home improvements and renovations around West Wicklow and South Dublin. So it's quite a new company. It's only 2 years up and running, and yeah, it's going well.
What's it called? What's the name of the company?
It's called K1 House to Home.
And why K1? What's that stand for?
That's a good question. I had a business called K2 Construction.
Ah, so you're going back to basics.
Yeah, back to basics, exactly, yeah.
Okay, so you have the day job, so you have a physical job, manual job, you're out and in, I suppose, in all weathers and all the rest of it, but you have a huge love of hiking. Where did this come from?
Myself and my mate basically started hiking together. Kevin O'Toole is his name from Dunlavin, and I've been hiking for over 20 years now, and we've traveled a good bit of the world together. We've climbed Mont Blanc together.
Oh, wow.
Aconcagua in South America, and Elbrus in Russia.
So this is serious hiking. This is not Sunday afternoon sort of.
It's not. No, it's not. No, but it did start very basic, the same as everybody getting introduced into the mountains, But I do have a passion and a love for the hills, for nature, and like the wildlife and what the land has to offer, what nature provides for us.
And are you very fit then, Ken? Would you be?
Well, I'd be fit enough, like, you know what I mean, like, say. The stages of the year, I wouldn't be, you know what I mean, but it's the same as everybody really. You take time out and then it takes a while to get back into it again, but yeah, I'd be fit and I'd be strong enough.
I only ask because I walk a lot and I live in Coolboy, which is quite hilly. It's near Tinhealy. It's quite hilly. And but I mustn't have been walking as fast, as hard as I thought, because a few weeks ago I met my sisters and we went up Bray Head. And you know what? We stopped to look at the view a lot. Well, take a moment here now and look at the view. And it was mostly me, and I'm the youngest sister, So it was a bit shocking. I didn't realize that I wasn't as fit as I thought I would. So before I get on to more about your hiking, I want to just bring you in, Ed, because you're waiting patiently there. So you're a farmer, and you've been living you're the Keadeen Mountain farm. Are you also a hiker as well, just out of curiosity?
I suppose not recreationally.
Chasing the sheep, maybe.
That's exactly it. Yeah, we would have sheep up on the mountain, and then whenever you'd be rounding them up, you'd be walking up and down, and you could go up and down the hill maybe twice in the one day.
So you probably wouldn't need to look at the view too much, would you?
Well,
not like me.
I'm a bit like yourself. I do need to take a little rest and have a look at that view. All right, yeah.
Sorry.
The parts of the hill now are quite steep, so it can take it out on you. Like, so I do stop.
There's a very famous example, and I can't remember his name, but he's an Australian man who was a sheep farmer, lived with his mother, and he was in his 70s or something, and he joined an endurance race in Sydney, and it was like, I don't know, 180 miles or something crazy, and he won it. He came in almost like in his Wellingtons, and you had all these professional athletes there, and he just kept on going. He walked or ran, he kind of loped, whatever. So he didn't stop, whereas the other athletes all stopped. They stopped, they had the rest, and they had this and that. He didn't know not to stop, and he won the race. Isn't that mad? I must look him up for you. And he's a sheep farmer. Well, I think he might be dead now, but he was a sheep farmer running down hills. So back to you then, Ken. So you love hiking. You've done some very exotic hiking, but more recently you've kind of turned your hiking into a Greater Heights guided tours. Tell me a bit about that.
Yeah, Greater Heights guided tours, I started it roughly about 2 years ago. It's kicked off really well. I bring groups out, maybe 15 to 20 people. People with all levels of fitness. And
how do you judge that? How do you make sure? I mean, if you had me there puffing away at the back, and you have the big, strong walkers up the front, they wouldn't like to be kept back by me.
Yeah, sure. Everybody's different level of fitnesses, you know what I mean? But I would be concentrating on people, you know what I mean? I'd be talking to them, you know, when we get to a point where we're going to be hiking from, and you'd assess it fairly quickly, you know, what levels of fitness people would have, and you would always stay with the people that you might think are, you know, not as fit as others, you know, and that's the beauty about Greater Heights guided tours. It's for the people that are at the back. It's, you know, if people are in the front and they have a better level of fitness, but they can go ahead, you know. But it's just a passion of mine to bring people out on the hills, basically, you know what I mean, for a very small fee. You know, I take out groups of 15 people anywhere in the Wicklow Mountains, anywhere in Ireland if they wish. But yeah, it's just a passion to introduce people into the mountains, and I think in these times like that we're facing at the moment with the COVID and all that, people are very nervous, and a natural thing to do is to head into the wilderness. I've seen it up in Glendalough when the COVID hit. Everybody just flocked to the mountains.
Oh, it was shocking, wasn't it? It was so crowded.
Shocking. It was absolutely shocking, you know what I mean? But to manage the crowds and also manage the to respect the land, basically, and leave the land as you received it, you know. But that obviously doesn't happen either. So
no. I mean, I do know a couple of years ago I spent Christmas up in Dublin with my sister and went up the Dublin Mountains for a walk on Stevens's Day, and it was packed. And we met so many people that we knew. All of South Dublin, I think, was going up. It was kind of crazy. But so during the time when the COVID started, people were flocking to these beauty spots. Yeah. And it was too many people, wasn't it? It was just too crowded.
Exactly. They were flocking to that area, you know, knowing that they weren't supposed to. But they felt safer when they were going there, because it's a natural thing to do, is to go somewhere in the outdoors where you feel a lot safer. Even though there was a massive amount of people there, they were well spread out as well, you know what I mean? But it was so hard to get in and out of the likes of Glendalough and such. And that's one of the reasons why I want to promote the hill walking in West Wicklow here, which is just off the N81. It's 15 minutes off the N81. And
where's the starting point?
The starting point is on Ed's land, which is at the foot of the Keadeen Mountain. And Ed and I have been putting our heads together with the help of another friend, Dave Willoughby. I'd like to mention Dave. And we're coming up with a concept at the moment that will introduce people to the hills. It's all around recreation and health and well-being, you know, and getting the people into the mountains, feeling safe, and showing them exactly what I've experienced over the last number of years, 20 years or whatever, you know, because people just don't know where to start from. They might drive to the mountains and they'll walk in flocks, if you know what I mean, but they're actually afraid to go into the wilderness. And in the wilderness, you know, sometimes I always say, yeah, you have to get lost to find yourself. And it's a wonderful saying. I've heard it, somebody saying it to me before, and it resides with me, you know.
Well, I think you're right, because you know how I mentioned my sister as I'm going for that walk, I had to miss the first one. I can't remember why. Something came up, and I know it's Bray Head, and I know it's Bray Head, but they got lost. They were trying to do a certain route, and they added on another, I don't know, a good 35 minutes of walking in the wrong direction when they came back. So we were joking that when I joined them finally for about a month later, and we went on the right route. But it is quite scary, the idea of getting lost. I mean, I think a guided tour is nice. I mean, I don't mind getting lost if I know someone knows where we're getting lost, if you like. It's just the getting lost and not finding your way back or something. That's kind of scary for the non-expert hiker.
It is, you know, and that's another fear with people. They're afraid that they're holding up the group, you know, the people that are not as fit as other people. And I find myself, you know, taking them out of that space, taking them out of that headspace, and, you know, helping them feel that little bit better about being with a crowd and introducing them to other people. It's just a great way to introduce people to people, for confidence, just to take them out of the head and into the heart, and just get into nature. It's a wonderful business, like, and the business was going really, really well. I was taking out groups of 15 to 20 people, and I was capping it at 20 people because of safety reasons. Obviously, you can't take many more people out than that. But you know, I just found that people were interacting very well. People were, having a great laugh on the day. And it doesn't have to be a big hike. It can be just a walk. It can be a trail in the forestry. It can be, Brussels-town there, just beside Keadeen Mountain as well. Like, it can be 2 hours. It can be 2 hour walk on trails. It doesn't necessarily have to be big hills.
I like the sound of those ones.
Yeah.
I'll sign up for the non-hilly ones.
Yeah, and most of the walks that I do are very, very short walks and very easy walks. So people don't have to be afraid of joining the group and going on that walk and meeting people, because people have this anxiety at the moment. They've been in lockdown. There are places to go. Greater Heights guided tours will bring them out there. And, Ed has 450 acres at the foot of the Keadeen Mountain. And it's a doorway. It's a doorway to be introduced to the Wicklow Mountains from the West Wicklow side. And that's what we are going to promote going forward.
Excellent. That's brilliant. So Ed, over to you now. So your land is where the walks are going to be starting from, the Keadeen Mountain, you're the Keadeen Mountain farm. So will people be walking all over your land, or do you have like paths? You don't want them going out into all the fields, do you?
Well, that's the concept that we're looking at now, that we're going to maybe look at having specific trails for people, and maybe do up the tracks that are there, because at the minute maybe they are just deer tracks and sheep tracks and cow paths. So maybe if we look to improve those so it's more accessible for all ages, for wheelchairs maybe even, or just we're going to have to look at it and see what we can do with it, because at the minute it's a mountain that has been really untouched for the last 100 years. You can even still see some of the potato ridges from the famine up on the side of the hill.
Oh my goodness. Have you been following the Belmont domain, the smaller sister estate to Kilruddery? It's a working farm, and they've recently opened up the working farm to tracks, and they have the fat bikes. Have you heard of the fat bikes? Yeah. So they're like a leave no trace style of bike because of the fat wheels. So they say they've recently opened up. So I think, and they were saying that people responded very well to being able to see animals, because if you live on a farm, you're obviously used to having animals. But if you live in the city, or if you live in a town, sheep and stuff are kind of a rarity. It's nice to see them, especially for children, to see sheep running around the place.
Yeah. Well, one thing that we're trying to do on our farm is to look at the traditional Irish breeds. So I have a herd of Dexters, which are a traditional Irish breed.
What are they like? I'm not familiar with them.
They're small cow.
Are they the little black ones?
That's correct.
Do they have, oh no, they're Galloways. I'm thinking of the Galloways.
The Galloways, we have some of those as well. They're black with a white belt around their belly.
Yes.
The Dexters are the small ones, and they can be short leg or long leg. So they're only, I suppose, maybe 4 foot high. So they're small cattle, but they think they're big cattle.
Do they do? I know I did an interview with someone who bred Galloways, and they're very easy for birthing and stuff like that. Are the Dexters easily managed as a farmer?
Yeah. You just they sort of look after themselves. When they do calve, you sort of want to give them a wide berth, because they're a little bit antsy just at that time. And they're kind of cattle that like to be, you can lead them, but you can't drive them. So a bucket of meal can sometimes be your best friend.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. And then how do you butcher them?
Well, we're sending them up to Valhalla Meats up in Longford, and they kill them, they hang them, butcher them, and then they box them. So then we'll be selling it through their website and then through our own website, which is keadeenmountainfarms.ie.
And so you're going to do a lot of farm directly to consumers.
Correct.
So
yeah,
they really know where the farm to the fork. They know who the farmer is.
Yeah, well, that's the plan. I'd like to try and add as much value to the produce as much as we can.
And you also are involved with growing hemp, I understand. So tell me, hemp has a funny reputation, but it needs a license. Is that correct, to grow hemp?
Yeah, you get a license from the HPRA, which is the Health Products Regulatory Authority. And so you apply to them, and then you sow it in May, harvest then in sort of September. And that's what we're doing now. It's a fiber crop and it's a seed crop. So the fiber crop can be used for your textiles, rope, things like
It's
that.
one of the oldest, isn't it, materials used for ropes and sails and all sorts of stuff.
Absolutely. Even the Egyptians had used hemp.
Ah, okay. Wow.
It's an ancient crop, but it's only new to us now because it had been banned back in 1937. So it's
Is that because they thought it had the, what do they call it, the TCH, the
THC,
druggy bit.
tetrahydrocannabinol. So THC is
THC, sorry.
yeah, that's the psychotropic side of it. Whereas hemp can only have 0.2% THC, and we have to sow the seeds that are on an EU list. So there's about 70 seeds that are on that list, and Finola is one of them, which is bred by Jace Callaway in Finland, and that's what we're growing. It's one of the highest producing seed varieties, and that's what we're focusing on now, the seed for food. And then we take that seed, we harvest it, we dry it, we clean it, and then we press it into oil. And that oil then is one of the most nutritional oils that you can consume. It's perfectly balanced in omega-6 and omega-3 for human consumption. It's a sort of a 3-to-1 ratio, and without omega-6, omega-3 is no good to you. And then it also has GLA, which is gamma-leonic acid, and that's an anti-inflammatory. So any of your listeners that may be suffering from any inflammation, the hemp seed oil is absolutely brilliant for reducing inflammation, and it's a nice tasty oil. It's a kind of a nutty sort of a flavor to it, so it's good for likes of going on salads, pestos, hummus, dips, spreads. I take it straight. I actually put it into a glass of milk and I drink it down that way, or straight off the spoon. It's not a cooking oil.
I was going to ask that. Why not?
Because it's a polyunsaturated fat oil. So once it goes above 130 degrees, it changes from polyunsaturated fat to a trans fat, and we don't need those trans fats.
Okay. Is that similar to other oils? Do olive oils do that, out of curiosity?
Technically, yes. Most oils aren't actually technically cooking oils, but we do anyway. Yeah.
I do use oil a lot in cooking, so I might change that a bit. So it tastes nice. You grow it, you harvest it, you clean it, you mill it, and you press it. And do you have like a little premise on your farm where you're bottling them all, or?
That's it, yeah. So this year then we put up a little facility on the farm, and that means then that the literally straight from the field only has to go a couple of 100 yards, and we're starting to press it then. So our carbon footprint is kept quite low.
Will you then maybe, when Ken brings all the walkers, the hikers to the farm, can they buy straight from the shop then?
Oh, absolutely. And that's another thing that we're going to have to develop maybe, is to have a small tuck shop there, that if and supposing people were looking for a cup of coffee before they start, when they get back, take their oil, bring that home with them. And we'll also have, with the hemp seed oil, we'll have the protein, which is the cake from the seed. We'll have the whole seed, and we'll have the CBD oil then as well as our meats, which is lamb and the beef as well.
Wow. That's quite a tuck shop you have there. Yeah, you have lots of offers. So Ken, so the plan is, you say you're hoping to set up, or you've begun the process of setting up Greater Heights guided tours at the Keadeen Mountain, which is totally unexplored at the moment.
Absolutely, it's totally unexplored. I climb a lot in Kerry, and I just seen that over the years the setup that they have down there, starting at the foot of Carntoogle. And John Cronin down in Cronin's Yard is probably the most popular place where you can climb Carntoogle. And Pat Falvey then would be he would be the Kerry mountaineer, the renowned Irish climber.
Mm-hmm.
He's summited many mountains around the world, including Everest and Alaska, Mount McKinley, and the likes. And he does world guided tours. For many years.
Tell me, so you say that the setup is very good in Kerry. So what do you need to replicate in the Keadeen Mountain to make it as good as Kerry, or to aim as be as good as Kerry?
If I can replicate it 10% of what they have down there, West Wicklow will be doing very well. This is all revolved around local businesses as well, getting involved. The likes like Ed coming on board is huge. You know what I mean?
So what type of practical steps do you need to take on the mountain to make it more climbable?
Well, we have to approach a lot of people. We've approached a lot of local businesses to get up and running. What Ed and I, what our concept is, which can't reveal right now. But
oh darn! That's what I'm just saying. What are you going to? Are you going to build stuff? Are you going to make tracks? You're going to have, I don't know.
It'll be all based around recreational and health and well-being for everybody involved. It'll put West Wicklow on the map for sure.
And when is the announcement then, or do you have a date?
It's like I say, we're working on it at the moment. It's early days. It's early days right now, but I think things will move along quite quickly. We're very excited about the whole setup and how it's gone to date. So, I'd say within the year we'll be set up. But that would be my base for introducing people to the mountain, and it's for West Wicklow. It's to take West Wicklow, put it on the map, and we can do, if we got 5% of what goes to Glendalough. I mean, that would be our goal.
With the actual mountain itself, Ed, it's you say your farm is at the base of the mountain. Can people access the mountain not going through your farm? Is there a public right of way to go up the mountain, or where is that?
No, I suppose my grandfather bought the Keadeen back in 1954, and he
owned the mountain. You own the mountain as well.
Yeah, we owned the mountain. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize. I thought you were nestling at the foot. You actually own
no,
that is so cool, owning a mountain.
Yeah, so he bought it back then, and he actually bought it for £2,000 at the time, and he bought 200 sheep, put them up on the hill, and within 2 years he sold all the sheep and the lambs, and he had the whole thing paid for in 2 years.
Wow. Can people buy mountains nowadays? You can't really, can you?
Yeah, you can, yeah. Yeah, if they're up for sale, yes. There's a lot of mountains are in Commonage, and at the back of Keadeen, there is Commonage there, but the whole front of it is all, he bought 400 acres at the time.
Wow. Is there a rite of passage there, or can people just walk now? I mean, I'm not suggesting, but can people walk there anyway, or do you give them permission, or how does it work?
Generally, we just give them permission. There is no right of way, but that's what we're looking to change now, to maybe allow people and let them know that it is there to see. Because at the minute, it's only ourselves and the sheep and cattle that get to see the views that are up there. Maybe we want to expand that and let others up there and see what we see all the time.
Wow, I'm just a bit blown away that you own a mountain. The thought of owning a mountain, majestic, geographical structures. It's like, it's mad. So I guess also, Ken, we didn't speak about this earlier, but just touching it briefly, the whole thing about walking in nature is all about mental health.
Absolutely. Mental health is just a massive thing, like it always was, but now it's even more important because, everybody is just in either lockdown or everybody's getting the belt of what's happening today in these times. And I think now, it's more important even to get this up and running for people's health and well-being. Everybody's up in the head, everybody's got anxiety, and one of the ways to get rid of anxiety is to connect with nature and to ground yourself.
Yeah.
It's come out of the head and come into the body, understand how you're feeling. And when you're on the hill and you're in groups, you can talk to people. And one of the biggest things, as we well know, talking to people is very beneficial to your health.
I'm just thinking too as well, hiking is a bit like the men's shed, because you're walking along and you're shoulder to shoulder. So it's easier to talk when you're actually engaged in a forward projection, if you like. I don't have to talk to you across the table. Like, we're just walking and we can talk. So it fulfills the same function. Well, we have rapidly run out of time. That's mad. Thank you so much for your time today, gentlemen. Very interesting. So watch this space. If we go on to the Facebook page, it's Greater Heights Guided Tours, or the farm page is Keadeen. Thank you. Sorry, Keadeen Mountain Farm. Is it .ie or .com?
.ie.
.ie. Okay, and then you can purchase all the organic materials from there too as well. Well, thank you so much for your time today, gentlemen. It's been fascinating. I love that you own a mountain, Ed. I'm just blown away. So thank you very much. Thank you to Marlena Murphy producing, Gavin Dowd on sound. And until next time, be good, be safe, and keep on helping others. Thank you.
Thanks, Jillian.